Hi, I'm Judge Caprio, and welcome to a special live edition of Cooking at Home with the Caprios. Now, before we get started, I just want to thank all of you who are doing your part to flatten the curve by staying home. Your selfless gesture is an act of caring and love that not only protects you and your family, but also protects the entire global community that we are all part of. Remember, we're all in this together. Now, as always, helping me in the kitchen is my son, David.
Thanks, Dad. Being at home with the quarantine, with all this extra time on our hands, we Caprios have been doing a lot of cooking, as we're sure all of you have too. Today we'd like to share some of my grandmother's favorite recipes. Today we'll be making a dish called Olio e Olio, which simply means garlic and oil. You may hear it being pronounced Olio in your favorite Italian restaurant. Now, it's a great, delicious, simple pasta dish to make. So we'll walk you through it, and hopefully we'll all be enjoying it tonight. Now, filming us today at a very socially safe distance is the executive producer of Caught in Providence, who you may have seen on some of the episodes, my Uncle Joe, Joe Caprio. And on the second camera, a superstar producer of the show named Taylor Wolf. There's Taylor.
So, let's get started.
And here's all the ingredients you will need. 1 3-ounce jar of anchovies, 1 6-ounce can of pitted black olives, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 pound of pasta, 1 bunch of parsley, some extra virgin olive oil, red pepper flakes, black pepper, and Reggiano Parmigiano cheese.
Okay, now remember, cooking is very personal. So if for any reason any of these ingredients are not preferable to you, you can substitute them. You can substitute any ingredient except the star of the show, and that's garlic. So you can't substitute garlic. But if for some reason you have an allergy or you have a distaste for any other ingredient, just eliminate it. Okay, so step 1 involves the star of the dish, and that's garlic. Now we need 3 cloves, David.
Okay, so just to be sure, this is not a clove of garlic. This is a head of garlic. This is a bunch of cloves added together. So to separate the cloves, you put the garlic on the cutting board and just press down as hard as you can. You hear that crunch, and there you have all the garlic. This is a clove of garlic. So first thing we have to do is peel the cloves of garlic. Very simple way to do this. You take all your cloves of garlic, get a nice big jar, put the cloves in. This is good for 1 clove or as many cloves as you want. Put a lid on the jar, and then we're going to shake as hard as we can for about 10 seconds. Oh, listen to that sound. And look at that. Perfect. The skin comes right off.
Wow, all that exercise in the weight room, David.
It all pays off. Now this is a nice peeled clove of garlic. Now I have to ask you, Dad, these cloves look pretty good, but see we have some different size garlics. Are all cloves created the same? Does size really matter?
I don't know. I mean, of course size matters. Bigger is always better. You know that.
Well, okay. We'll go with the old Caprio saying bigger is always better. We'll pick the 3 biggest cloves of garlic, and now we have to chop up the garlic. Again, a very simple procedure to chop up the garlic.
Those are perfect.
You take a large knife, side of the knife, crunch the garlic. Side of the knife, crunch the garlic. And then we're going to chop up the garlic, very simple. Chop them into nice fine chunks on either side. And there you have your chopped garlic, and here we already have 3 cloves of chopped garlic ready to go.
Okay, now next we cut the pitted olives into medium-sized pieces.
Okay, well while you're chopping those olives, are these Italian olives?
No, these are just standard California olives.
Now this is an Italian dish, olio. Why do you choose to use a product from California rather than maybe something from Europe like a Kalamata or some other more flavorful olive that you see in the deli?
David, it's all a matter of personal taste. I like the sweetness of the California olive, and that's why I use that. So if you have a different taste, if you like something bitter, use another olive. Me, I'm sweet, so I like the California olive.
Well, California olives.
Now, why are you ringing a bell?
All right, chop your olives. I have a fun food fact
These kids.
about California olives. California olives, when they're picked off the tree, are actually not black. They're green. They become black through a process called oxidation when they're cured. If you try to eat them off the tree, they're much too bitter. You can't eat them.
Well, these are ready to eat. Maron.
Indeed they are. So let's move on.
Okay, now next we have to chop the parsley. I'm really a big fan of parsley, right? So I usually chop a full bunch at once. But I'm going to give you a professional tip from my mother, Philomena. I can still hear her telling me, Frankie, don't throw away the stems. Make sure you don't throw away the stems. Why don't you throw away the stems? Because the real flavor is in the stem. So that's why you do it. Plus, you need the stem for the crunch. Oh, that beautiful crunch. Oh, my Lord on me, it's so good. Okay, so we got the crunch, we got the parsley. Now it's time to move to the stove. So Joe and Taylor, follow me to the stove.
Okay, so we have a pot of boiling water ready for the pasta. We're going to add some salt, and not only does the salt add flavor, it adds texture as the salt granules beat up the pasta, helps create some divots to hold the sauce.
Okay.
Now, what kind of pasta do you recommend for Olio?
That's a great question. Now, many people use linguine, many people use capellini. They use a variety of types of pasta. I prefer fusilli, which is a corkscrew-shaped pasta, like this is an actual piece of fusilli. Why fusilli? Because it helps to capture the sauce, and it helps capture the flavor better with these grooves. And in the other pastas, generally it slips apart. However, it's all a matter of taste. If you like linguine, you use linguine. If you like capellini, you use capellini. I like fusilli. I think you get a good taste with fusilli.
Now also we have to remember that as important as the type of pasta is how it's cooked. It's got to be cooked al dente. So that's about 5 or 6 minutes, and let's pour this in to the water, and I'll keep my eye on the clock.
Okay, correction. I think 7 or 8 minutes, but it all depends on your taste. Now, al dente means that it's cooked with a little crispiness. It's not cooked so that it's mushy. If you like mushy pasta, do it. I don't like mushy pasta. However, try 7 or 8 minutes. That would be perfect. Okay, now is the time to brown the garlic. Now, this is a critical step. The skillet is coated with a thin layer of olive oil. You don't want the oil to be too hot. If it's smoking, it's too hot. Okay, David?
Here's the star of the show.
Okay, now we're going to pour this garlic into the skillet.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Okay, now the key to toasting the garlic to a terrific golden brown. If it's too light, you don't get the full flavor. If it's too dark, it gets bitter. So my advice is to do it perfectly. There is nothing better than the aroma of simmering garlic. Oh, Madonna
It
mia.
does smell fantastic. You know, we get asked a lot, how do you pick a good olive oil? Well, you always have to buy extra virgin olive oil. It has to say extra virgin on the can. And as you can, we're fortunate, we live in Federal Hill, which is the Italian section of Providence, and there's many stores that have a wide variety of olive oil. But you can see here, you want one that says extra virgin olive oil. Avoid any olive oil that says light. If the olive oil says light, it's not 100% pure olive oil. Olive oil is 100% fat, and there's nothing wrong with that. Also, read the fine print. You'll see on this can, it says product of Italy. So they are initials sometimes that tell you that. You'll have IT for Italy, GR for Greece, etc. So those are the secrets of getting a very good, high-quality olive oil. How's that garlic coming?
Oh, this is, look at it. Look at it, it's golden brown. Isn't it perfect? Okay, now once the garlic is perfectly browned like this, right? Reduce the heat quickly and add the anchovies. So I'm going to reduce the heat and add the anchovies. Oh, you can hear the sizzle.
So those anchovies will melt right into the oil. The way that they're cured in salt, it really breaks down the fibers and they're going to melt right in, as you can see. Let's turn the heat down a little bit.
You're going to slowly turn the anchovies. Hear the sizzle? Oh, Madonna mia.
All right, so Dad, while those anchovies are melting in, tell us, we've been quarantined now for a few months. What would it have been like when you were a child living at home with your two brothers and your parents if you were quarantined in your home for a few months?
Well, to begin with, my mother would have been in her glory because she would have cooked non-stop for 2 months. We all would have put on 50 pounds, and all the doctors would have been happy because we'd be so bloated that we'd be at the doctors every week. Other than that, it would have been a wonderful existence. I do know I could just see my mother at the stove saying, "Fili me," which means my child, my son. You know, you can't go out. You can't go out because you're going to get sick. You got to worry about all the other poor people. You can't carry sickness to anybody else, and you certainly don't want sickness to come into our house. So I know my mother, she'd be praying for everybody, and she'd be cooking for us. And my brother Joey, who's right here on the camera, who's 12 years younger than me, would be causing an awful lot of trouble around the house. My mother would spend half the time cooking and half the time trying to keep him quiet. But that's how life would have been.
Okay. The anchovies are almost perfectly melted. A few more minutes and they'll be blended right into the oil and the garlic.
Just look at this. Isn't this beautiful? Look at this. The garlic is perfectly browned. The anchovies, which you notice I'm continuing to stir the anchovies. Number one, so they don't stick together. And number two, that they have an opportunity to melt right into the oil. And now we got one other ingredient we want to include in the oil, and that's the olives. Oh, just look at that. That is perfect.
Okay, so we're going to stir the olives around. We're going to add some...
We're going to mix the olives and the garlic and the anchovies.
We're going to add some black pepper, a little black pepper.
And David's adding some black pepper for flavor.
A little crushed red pepper to taste. Give it a little bite, a little bit of heat.
A little bit of bite, red pepper. So we get everything in here. We have salt, we have pepper, we have red pepper, we have olives, we have garlic. Oh, we got it all. And we have anchovies, and we have a nice wooden spoon to mix everything together in this beautiful olive oil.
Look at that, how beautiful. That, what we're looking at, is the olio. The next step is we got to add the olio to the pasta. I think the pasta might just about be done. Why don't you try a piece?
Well, let's try it.
Nice and al dente?
Perfectly al dente. Madonna mia.
So let's get it.
I need another piece.
So let's get it off the stove. And let's strain it. Now, when you're straining the pasta, many people rinse the pasta after you strain it. That's a mistake. Rinsing the pasta washes away all of the starch and a lot of the flavor. And that also helps hold the sauce on the pasta. So we're just going to rinse it. We're going to take the pasta and we're going to take it directly back and put it right in the pan. And you're going to toss that like a nice salad. Good, stir it up. And now the final step, let's add the cheese, and then we're ready to plate. Some nice grated Reggiano, Parmigiano cheese.
That's enough.
You want to make sure it's the Reggiano, Parmigiano. If it doesn't say Reggiano, Parmigiano, it's an imitation. That's the region from which the cheese is from. It's the best in the world. So let's mix that up nice and nice. We'll get a little gooey.
This is ready.
And let's get it right in the plate. Here you go. The handle's going to be hot. And of course, that is delicious. And now the final touch.
Chop the parsley. Oh, that beautiful crunch. Oh, Madonna mia, it's so good. And here we have Olio. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Tasteful, delicious, satisfying.
Maron.
Pardon me.
Okay, now be sure to look in the description below for a link to the recipe.
So, until we see you again next week, be safe, be well, and be considerate of your fellow human beings. And when you go outside, please wear a mask and also wear a smile under that mask.